Are we on? Are we on? Welcome to Basketball Heads Live. I am your host, Glenn Pooh Harding. And oh boy, we have a very special guest. This basketball head is a Far Rockaway, Queens legendary coach who has been coaching since 1984 in CYO League at St. Rose. His brother coach got hurt and had to get back surgery. So this basketball head stepped in at the tender age of 17 years old. He stayed there to 1986 when he met Bob Leckie and joined him on the JV staff at the legendary Bishop Loughlin High School. He also was the assistant on the Varsity level as well in 1993. This basketball head made his presence felt on the college scene at Queens College with Norm Roberts, who was the head coach at the time, who then moved on to be the head coach at St. John's and now the assistant coach at Kansas University. After Queens College, this basketball head moved on to another legendary high school, Far Rockaway High School, for a year, and then Lawrence High School with Cleveland Woods. In 2010, he moved to Maryland, and in 2014, won the regional championship with Duval High School. Now back at NYC, he has started his own basketball program. So, without further ado, help me welcome to the show, Far Rockaway legendary coach and CEO of his own sports program, the Chris Frazier Sports. Or we just gonna say Chris Frazier Sports. Help me welcome my guy, Coach Chris Frazier.
Y'all ready?
Y'all ready?
Yes. You have just stepped out into the world of chaos. Where everybody goes hard. Come on. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Or go home. Never back down. You gotta hold your own. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. East Coast. Go hard. West Coast. Go hard. Midwest. Go hard. Dirty. Hurry up, everybody. Get online. Buy your tickets cause the game about to start.
Hey, Coach, how you doing?
I'm good, Paul. How's everything going, man?
Everything is going well. Man. Glad to have you on the show tonight.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Listen, first of all, I want to say thank you for coming out this summer to the Brevard Basketball League and showing your support. And just, your presence there was definitely felt, man. After I put up the flyer, I getting a lot of hits from people saying, yo, my guys, Coach Chris, known for the neighborhood, especially my guy, Titus Stewart. Salute to my guy, Titus Stewart.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So I want to say thank you again for coming out and support, man. And I'm glad we could bring you on.
Man, I love being out there. A lot of good young talent, man. I love watching them, and I'll be back out there.
We look forward to having you. So, you definitely are a friend of the show and been watching it, so you know how this go. Who introduced you to the game?
Actually, it was my brother. I have a brother that's 4 years younger than me. And when I was 14, he was 10. And I wasn't really a basketball player back then, but he didn't have anybody to play with. So I played him, and he beat me 42-12. I hate losing. So I started practicing myself so that I could beat him. And then, as I'm working out, other people in the neighborhood are working out and they want to play me and they're beating me. And now I've got to beat them. And And it just became a desire where I just wanted to be better and just push myself as hard as I can. So the introduction to basketball is definitely my younger brother.
Wow. Salute to your younger brother, man. That's awesome. Now, are you guys originally from Far Rockaway, Queens?
My brother is born and raised. I was born in Brooklyn, but I moved out here when I was like 3. So I've been out.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like the Michael Jordan thing, you know. You was born out here, but you was raised in Far Rock. Okay.
Just like he's the GOAT, I'm the GOAT too.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. Coach. For real. So let's talk about young Chris growing up in the 80s. How was life for you during that time growing up out in Far Rockaway?
Well, lived in the projects, people around, and everybody's playing some kind of sports. Early on, I was a football player, and everybody knew me for that. So when I played that. And then again, my brother introduced me to basketball. And then I was trying to, be that basketball player. Wasn't very good at first. So a lot of times I either wasn't picked or I was the last person picked to be able to play in the park. But as I kept working on my skills, and people would watch me and they would see me, and I guess I inspired some people because after a while, young heads came up and I started training them even as I was still trying to play and get myself better. And I'm blessed, man. I'm blessed to be where I am and come from where I came from.
Well, I wanted to make sure we give a shout out to Coach Titus Keith Best behind me, who also started coaching at a young age.
Okay, all right.
Right, so like you two guys are guys who I say you guys pave your own trails early on, while a lot of us was trying to figure out the game on the court. You was figuring out the game on the court and help getting other people better.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
That's dope. So who are some of the guys you came up watching? Like who are some of the guys at Far Rock that you could say, we was definitely watching him. When the summer tournament was happening, we was watching him. Who are some of those guys?
Well, we had guys in the neighborhood. Arnold Saunders was one of the guys from the projects. There was a couple of dudes. I got to give my man Huggy a shout. Gregory Lynn, Gabo. There's a bunch of guys that we played with, and my brother. And at first, we had a guy, Mike Gutierrez, that was with us. Mike went on to St. Rose College. So we had some people that we would definitely play. Rufus McKenzie. And that's just from Far Rockaway.
Right.
You travel around the city. I played against, I wasn't very good, but I played against Mouse McFadden at the Madison Broncos.
Ooh, my guy, friend of the show. Definitely friend of the fan.
And he probably doesn't even remember me. But we played with the Sun Devils and, got around to travel and see different players. And then as the high school scene really exploded in the 80s, got around to watching Mark Jackson and Kenny Smith and Walter Berry and all those guys and, got to know some of them. And, so those were the guys that I really followed back then.
Cool. So let's talk about this, right? You coming up watching all these guys play in your neighborhood. Who was the GOAT of the neighborhood? Who was the guy that everyone was trying to be like?
It was probably the guy Arnold Saunders that I was just talking about.
Okay.
And every time he came to the park, everybody was looking at him and speaking his name. So, definitely have to be Arnold.
Got you. When did the coaching ball kick in? Let's jump right into that. When did it? Because you started early, man. You started very early.
Well, I didn't play early on, like I said, but my brother was playing, so I would go and watch. I would watch the practices because I wanted to learn. I'm a sponge. I want to soak it up. Learn everything I can. So watching the practices and watching what the coaches were doing, as well as the stuff that I was doing on my own, I started to pick it up. And as I picked it up, I was like, well, I can do that. And, And then there'd be times during games, I'm not even the coach at the time, and something happens during the game, and I'm going, Coach, wouldn't it make more sense if, we did this or you tried this? And, being a kid, they, brushed me to the side. But I started to get it that's probably around 15, 16 years old.
Wow. When did that situation, or like rather, what was that situation like when your brother's coach needed back surgery and you had to step in? Was it your brother was the one that kind of convinced you to coach?
Actually, I don't think he wanted me anywhere near the team. But we were there, and we were in the practice, and the coach was complaining of back issues, and said, the plays. He had to go home. I think his wife actually came to pick him up, and he was like, can you finish practice out? So we finished practice, and then after the game, the gentleman Dennis Cook, who ran the program back at the time, came back to us and was like, Coach Ryan is going to be out for a while. Can you take over? Because there wasn't anybody else to coach. Being as I spent as much time around the team as possible. And there were guys from the neighborhood that I knew anyway, because, we lived around each other. So in doing that, it kicked in and we won. After the first win, I was addicted. It was just like, it was a high like I had never had ever before.
I want to give a shout out to Cheese Lamison,
Yep.
Truth Seeker,
Yep.
Wiz Grooves, legendary Reese Park player. He's naming some people, man. He naming some people. That's dope. That's dope. So,
Yeah.
let's talk about your transition into the coaching position, right? Because most guys who transition to playing and get into the different levels, it's the same way on a coaching scene. What was your transition like as a coach and being able to get guys to listen to when you was only a few years older than them?
Well, it's, like I said, as I was working out in the park, I had 3 young dudes, Marvin Barnes, Adam Groves, Shandu McNeil, who would watch me, practicing and working out inside in the park. And they asked me, like, what are you doing? What's that for? What's all that? So I was like, well, let me show you. And when they saw their successes and they saw that it was working for them, that was a boost not only for them, but it was a boost for me. Like, all right, I'm on to something here.
Right.
So, that was the thing that really kickstarted it for me.
Some really good players right there, man.
Yeah.
For sure. Now, let's talk about that first CYO game and how did you guys do? And what was that moment after the game?
Well, we played a team that wasn't really that good at the time, I believe.
Lucky for you, Coach.
But we had a pretty good team. We had 5 solid starters and a couple of guys come off the bench. And we played them, and they played us in the zone. So we had some zone play. So basically, I was just following the script of what the other coach had done before. But then there was some things, again, that I would see, especially knowing the guys that I was coaching, and was like, why don't we try this? So I would add some things to it, and it would work. And again, it gave me that. It gave me a lot of confidence, first of all, to be like, all right, I know what I'm doing. And for the guys to sit there and go, all right, we can go with Chris. He's putting us in the right mood and the right direction and stuff. So in doing that, after the game, I was all smiles. I was just like, real excited, real happy. Obviously, I congratulated the guys first because they did it all first. But I was real happy with myself and really felt like this was something that I need to be doing.
That's dope. That's real dope. Okay. Did you finish out the season? How well did you guys do? Let's talk about that, because the first game was a piece of cake.
Yeah.
Right? How was the process moving on?
Well, I think we lost 2 games. I think we went like 9-2. I coached in the All-Star game. We went to the playoffs. We won the first playoff game, and then Coach came back.
Okay.
So I still stayed and helped him out. and I believe we lost in the second or third round of the playoffs. But we did really well. And then the next year, I was an assistant coach and helped out in a couple of different age groups at that, instead of just the one. So we did really well. We had a bomb squad. I'm not gonna front.
So when did this Bishop Loughlin thing happen? Because you're a guy from out Far Rockaway, Queens. Bishop Loughlin's all the way downtown Brooklyn, Clinton Hills. How did that connection get made?
Again, got to give props to my brother. My brother ended up going to Bishop Loughlin High School, and when he was on the JV, he played for Coach Leckie. So that's how I met Coach Leckie. Years later, I would take those three guys that I mentioned, Adam Groves, Marvin Barnes, Shandu McNeil. I would take them around to different parks, different tournaments. And we went up to Hoffman Park one day, and I just had Marvin Barnes with me. And Loughlin had a team in the I can't even remember the name of the tournament right now. But Leckie was there with the Loughlin team, and they only had 4 guys, and Marvin at the time was like 12 or 13. So they asked, can he play? So I asked him if he wanted to play. He said yes. Marvin came in and at 12, 13 handled his own against varsity players. I believe Floyd Bob. I don't know if you know Floyd Bob. Floyd Bob was on that team. And after that game, Leckie asked me some questions about Marvin. I told him, I trained him, I worked him out and stuff like that. And he, did Marvin want to continue to play? And I was like, yeah. And he asked me, he was like, hey, do you want to coach? I was like, all right. He was like, yeah, you can come coach with me. Wow. So that's how that started. And that was like, I believe 1986. And then I had a car accident afterward. So I had to kind of sit out a year. I was paralyzed from the waist down and sat out a year. But when I came back, Leckie invited me back, and I was with Loughlin right up, to city and state championship that we won.
Wow. That was that 87 year? That was the 87, 88 year?
87, 88 was the year I had the accident. The 92 team is the one.
Got you. Because that 86 year, we won it, and then that means Malloy had won it that year as well. So yeah, okay, got you. Yep.
Selden, Sherwin, all of a sudden I'm losing names. But we had another bomb squad.
So the Jefferson was on that team as well, right?
Yes, he was one of our leading scorers. Yeah.
Wow. So these some legendary moments, and as you see, the levels are getting higher and higher, and right. People are recognizing your basketball coaching ability and able to put you in places where you could be successful.
Yes. I ended up, I would go to camps and soak up again, Pocono Invitational, Eastern Invitational, be around other high-level coaches, ask some questions, pick people's brains. I don't know if you know a guy named Billy Lanier from Maryland, became a good friend of mine, and we sit at night and just talk not only New York basketball, but just basketball and, and the different players that we had and played against and helped out, and, college coaches that I got a chance to meet and speak to and, befriend. And it's a whole big community out there that really helped me. So when they talk about a village, I had a community, I had a village.
Man, just thinking about what you experienced as far as the car accident and not letting that stop you. Like I said, when I turn around and I see you at the game, sometimes I'm surprised because I'm like, yo, he back again. Like, this guy's always on the move. And yeah. I think a lot of times when kids or even grown-ups use excuses, you're definitely an example of no excuses and keep going hard.
No, after the accident, I'll be honest with you, it was a little tough at first because, I had to get used to being comfortable in a new situation that I was in.
Right.
But the knowledge was still there. So I just had to find a different way of how do I get what's up here in my head and translate it to where kids can understand and still be successful? So I did that. I was able to do that by breaking down, again, like you said, those were 3 heck of a players that I had to start off with. And then because of the successes of them, other kids, LaTroy Tabbs, Greg Harden, Jamal Robinson, man, I can go for names.
Did you have any hands on the Taylor brothers?
I know the Taylor brothers. I didn't actually coach them. Stacy Castle.
Yeah, Stacy Castle, who's huge.
Ahmad Woods was one of my guys. So yeah, Lamar Parker. Yes, I mean, a lot of good players I passed through these hands that I was able to translate. And then I ended up being a school teacher and a special education teacher. So
Salute. Same here. Yes.
Thank you. So in doing that also helped with, all right, how can I get what's in my head and translate it out to other people? And that skill came in so great for me to be able to do that and translate everything to everybody. I mean, it worked out exactly the way it was supposed to.
Wow. So, with so much success you're having, on a CYO level, then you move on to Bishop Loughlin. And I know you're training kids in the community and playing in tournaments and winning tournaments and having success there. How did the situation at Queens College come about?
I was looking for something. I wanted to go to the college level. And Norm was somebody I had met, coaching at Loughlin. He was at Malloy. And when I heard he had gotten the job, I contacted him. And he brought me in. He brought me on. And, I volunteered and just, wanting to learn and translate what I know and maybe learn something that I can bring back to, my other guys. So that came about that way. We had a pretty good year, learned a lot, had some fun with those guys, had some good players. We had a shooter, Mike Hewins. I don't know if Mike's still in the basketball, but that boy can shoot it from, when he walked in the gym. So
that's crazy. I'm gonna tell you a quick story real quick, right? Because when I had Derek Chivas on the show, he talked about this dream that he had of him and Boo going to York College. So, and I know a lot of people think Derek Chivas is joking, and he was dead serious. He was like, man, it was right in our neighborhood. I had the keys to the gym. We'd have transferred that college into one of the big time colleges in the country, right? And I don't think a lot of people even give themselves enough credit, right, to make a move like that. He did it for Missouri at a big time college.
Yeah.
They could have, you get what I'm trying to say, right?
Yeah.
So I tell kids, it's no matter where you at, it's what kind of player you are once you get there.
It's funny that you say that because, after a while, all these kids would ever talk about is, where am I ranked? I'm not ranked. This kid is ranked. This kid. And I kept telling them, if you put in the work, you can play anywhere. Coaches are going to find you. And sometimes it's better to be that big fish in a little pond than be that little fish in a big ocean where nobody can find you. It's not always the best. North Carolina is great. I'm not knocking North Carolina, but North Carolina gets All-American after All-American after All-American. Like what, gosh, why can't I think of people's names right now? What just happened with St. Peter's?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, what a great story that was. And for kids to be able to go there, produce, go to the highest level, and look at where they took themselves. That's basketball to me.
A la Steph Curry, a la Ja Morant, a la Damian Lillard, a la CJ McCollum. And we can go on and on and on from guys who played at mid-majors. You go down the line to guys who played at, HBCUs and NIA schools who became legitimate pros and all-stars, and who some of them going to go into the Hall of Fame.
I just had a conversation with a kid that I'm training a couple of days ago, and I asked him, I was like, do you know who Dennis Rodman is? The kid was like, Dennis Rodman. I was like, no. It's like Dennis Rodman, I think, didn't he go to a Division II school? And I was like, but when he got to the NBA, he dominated games. He didn't score, but he dominated games. So
and at the Division II school, he was the leading scorer and leading rebounder. Then went to the NBA, wouldn't even shoot.
Right. And still dominated games to the point where, like, you know, that's the person that you're looking for. That's the person they were game planning for, the guy that didn't shoot. So you don't have to be, the number one ranked kid or at the biggest school. Just go out and do what you do and do it to the best of your ability.
That's so true, man. That's so true. Today, oh, this is so funny. My guy sent me, he sent me this TikTok of these kids, right? And you know, I kind of laugh because, you know, not at them, but check it out. Hold on.
These twin brothers are being called the two best third grade basketball players in the country. Meet the Jolly Twins, the flashiest, most entertaining, and viral young hoopers who are looking to become the next big thing before they even reach high school. Henry and Ashton Jolly are only 9 years old and are already working on becoming the youngest athletes to ever sign an NIL deal. But they also got some real skills for their age. Henry and Ashton can really knock down the three ball. We watched them hit multiple deep threes, and they were hitting shots from out there off the dribble. They are also very skilled when it comes to taking it to the rim. I mean, take a look at this hop step through traffic or this very difficult reverse layup. And anytime either of these.
All right. Salute to those young brothers. Salute to them and all this early success. But how many years have we been seeing young prodigies, right? And who knows? They may get through, you know, the rigmarole of the test to be consistently good all the way through to their high school and senior years, and they go to college. But I try not to get too high on those young kids, and I know they're gonna have a lot of pressure on them. And if they get an NIL deal early, you know, who knows how they're going to turn out at the end of the day, right? It's like a lot of guys and girls getting these early college offers. And I had a basketball director from IMG, my guy Brian Nash, and he talked about those same kids who getting those early offers, see can they call those coaches right now and get a scholarship, right?
Yeah.
Not saying not their senior year, because the senior year, you know, you want those offers to be real. You want those offers from your 9th and 10th grade or even the 3rd grade year to become real. Right. So, listen, young girls and young guys out there, don't get caught up in the hype or who's ranked, because if you're good, they will find you. There's basketball players in leagues all over the world.
Absolutely. And, you know, young guys and girls, spend more time putting the work in. Spend more time in the gym. If you're left-handed and your right hand is just weaker hand, spend time working on that, developing your shot, not your range, because a lot of people take that for granted. They think, oh, if I can shoot threes like Steph and Clay, that'll get it done. No, everybody's forgotten the art of the mid-range, pool. You know, that's 12 to 15 points right there, on top of layups and threes and whatever else and foul shots. Work on the game, work and understanding the game, because you maybe have all the talent in the world, but if you don't know the game, all that talent it can get you to a certain level. It's not going to push you over the top. And then with all these signing NILs and everything, you were talking about the pressure. After a while, that pressure gets to you, and you have to keep producing, and you have to keep producing. Like you said, all the luck to those young people that are up there like that. but also be ready to handle that pressure, because that's a lot that you're going to have to put on your shoulders.
Because everybody's looking like wolves, like, oh, he the number 1 third grader?
Right.
Yeah, I got some. Oh, he the number 1 fifth grader?
Right.
Right. And everyone can score.
Right.
Right. You could be the top scorer. You can be averaging 30 in college and get to the NBA, and they tell you, we need you to play defense, to not shoot the ball.
I had a young man years ago, Kwasim Pugh. He played for me. And the time I got to him, I think he came to me as a 6th grader. And he was one of the top 6th graders in the city. And I think he was averaging like 42 points a game. And I had him playing point. And I told him, you can't score. You can't shoot for the first 3 minutes of the game. And he was like, what? What are you talking about, coach? I said, you can't shoot. Your job is to get everybody where they're supposed to be at, to learn how to play point guard. Make sure everybody's where they're supposed to be. Everybody else has got to touch the ball first. If you get a breakaway layup, then you can score. Other than that, do your job. And then after the first 3 minutes, you can go ahead and go crazy after that. He went on to play at Norfolk State. Did a good job.
I seen this kid light South Shore up. He played for Scaling. Forgot the young man's name. He has a great game. He's a very good player. Let me just say that. Very good player. And he was hot. He was hitting shots from all over the place. They only had 6 players, I think 6 or 7 players. And this young man was just burying shots. I think they had like 6 players. Killing. He had like 25 in the first half. Smoke adjusted. Went to a man. Well, I know my guy Sean, because Smoke was so disgusted at his team, he let the assistant take over. And there was just a big difference. The guy's shot wasn't hitting the same. The legs were there, because not only he was scoring, he had to play defense because they only had 6 players, right? By the time the 4th quarter came, he was done. Because he didn't use the basketball IQ and spread it out. Like, okay, now I got 25. Let me use myself as a decoy now and get everybody else in the game.
Right. And that's what these young players don't always understand. Sometimes, if you're hot, great. But at some point in time, you've got to see what else is going on and what the defense is doing to you, or how they're trying to attack you. And now, how can you attack that back? Because I don't know if this is taught anymore. I can give the ball up to get it back. If I make a pass and that ball goes around and that defense has to shift, and I can find an opening in the defense to get myself open. Selden was great at that, as finding a little spot to get himself open in, catch the ball and let it go. And you can still get your buckets, and get everybody else involved, and everybody else feels like they're part of the game and they're not just watching the show. Because
basketball is a game of runs. Shot goes going to go in. The shots are not going to go in.
Right.
So let's talk about Coach Norm Roberts, who gave you that college opportunity. What was he like as a head coach during those days? Because as you see, he went on to coach at St. John's, and then now he's the assistant coach on an NCAA championship team like Kansas University with Coach Bill Self.
First, congrats, Norms, on all the success that you've had, man. I appreciate that time that you spent with me. Norm was great, because Norm was willing to share whatever knowledge he had with you, and he was willing to take whatever you had to offer and utilize that. And he was willing to listen. It was great to work with him. I got to see, obviously he was a great player in the PSAL when he was at
Springfield. That's right. With Anthony Mason in them. Yep. Richie Radar Anderson in them. Yep.
Right. And then, he was a great college player at Queens College himself.
Yeah.
So, to get that background from him, what he was able to do at the level that he was at, and watch him, pass it on, another learning lesson for me. Another thing that, I always talk about my toolbox, right? Coach Leckie gave me tools to put in my toolbox. Coach Roberts gave me lessons to put in my toolbox. I was friends with, Coach Curran before he passed, God bless the dead.
Yes.
I got tools from him, to put in my toolbox. So all these coaches added me to my toolbox to where right now I've got a shed. I don't just have a toolbox, and all of those lessons that I learned, I can impart and pass on and give to the next generation, which is what I'm all about, which is what Chris Frazier Sports is all about.
Yeah, we definitely going to jump into that as well. Let's talk about now, as you moved on from Queens College, what led you back to the high school division over at Far Rockaway? What led you back to the high school scene?
Well, Far Rockaway, is right down the street from where I live. So I saw some of the guys playing and wanted to, went into the school to just see, what it was like, what was going on, see what the PSL. I'd been coaching at that time for the most part in the Catholic High School League. I didn't really coach in the public school league, and I wanted to see what it was all about. So I was, curious, went in there, saw it, and went in there and worked out with those guys and had a pretty, Rich Forbes and some of those guys played for me, Darryl Bynum. We had a pretty good team, got to the playoffs that year. I'm trying to remember the exact year. It was at 2000, 2001, I believe it was. So it was pretty good. And from there, met my boy Cleveland. And again, God bless the dead. And it's still hard for me, that he's
definitely. Yes.
Me that he got the job at Lawrence.
Mm-hmm.
And he called me his guru. He's like, Guru, come on. So I was like, all right, went with him, and he and Dove Fryer and myself, and we ran Lawrence basketball for a while.
Now, I never heard about Lawrence High School till I went to college. My teammate Ron Omer, he played for Lawrence.
Okay.
And he would just, I was like, is it in the Far Rockaway? Is it in Long Island? It kind of explain to people where exactly Lawrence High School is at.
All right. Far Rockaway is pretty much, we call ourselves the 53rd state. We're so far away from everybody else that, we consider ourselves our own entity. But we're also on the border of Long Island. So we have the Five Towns area, which is Lawrence, Woodmere, Inwood, Hewlett, and Cedarhurst.
Yes.
Those are the 5 towns, and Lawrence is right over that line. So it's like right next to Far Rockaway. So it's kind of like saying, I'm trying to get an example of.
First of all, I didn't know that's the reason why that area was called Five Towns.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, that's exactly why, because of those 5 towns in that area.
Wow.
It's pretty much like going from, how Middle Village can go right into Bushwick?
Yes.
It's pretty much just like that.
Got you. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Definitely. Now, I want to compare you guys to Brooklyn, right? The Coney Island side.
Let's go.
Do you think the fact that Coney Island had so much entertainment and amusement park out there, which kind of helped their basketball culture and tradition compared to what was going on out in Far Rockaway? Now, I'm not saying Far Rockaway don't have a great basketball tradition, but Coney Island, they produce so many ball players in a small area like no other place in Brooklyn, probably in New York City.
Yeah. No, Coney Island, give big props to them. The similarities are pretty much, we had one amusement park out here. Do I have? I don't have. I've got a different hat.
I remember Rockaway Playland.
Yeah, Rockaway Playland.
Yes.
So we had that out there, but I don't think that added to our basketball culture. In the Bible it says iron sharpens iron. We played against each other, and if you can play against each other out here, you can go and play other people everywhere else. And the other thing is, that's something that we had to do. We had to take our skill levels, and we had to go to the mainland. We had to go to Queens, Brooklyn, uptown, and see how we gonna fare against them. I remember taking hour and change train rides up to the Madison Broncos, up to to Gauchos, up to Queensbridge, just so we can play against those guys to test my mettle. How's my mettle against theirs? Now, what do I need? And then I would be, let me take back home and find out how can I, were they that much better than me? What do I now need to work on to get myself to that level? Or what do I need to do to keep myself up there? Because these guys are going to be coming up to try and get at me. So we played against each other, and we're so competitive out here. I think that's what cultivated the basketball culture out here. Coney Island, they like, I think it's in the water out there, man.
It has to be, because a lot of those guys didn't leave the island unless they had to.
Yeah.
So it was a different mixture out there. So salute to all my people and family out in Coney Island.
Yeah, I think it's the water and the Nathan's hot dogs. I have no idea, bro.
What can you tell me about Howie Hudson's legendary status out in Far Rockaway?
Wow, that's the name I haven't heard in a long time. Howie produced a lot out here. Man, I'm trying to remember. If I don't even have any stories about Howie.
And I heard he still has a brilliant mind, because he's a principal somewhere in New York City. He was playground legend, Vermont great.
Yeah.
I played against him. He was a little bit older than me, but man, you just knew you was in for a hard battle, and you had to stop him because he was getting buckets like no other.
I heard he was, and I don't say was, is like you said, he's still around, but just I think it was the IQ. I think it was more his IQ than anything else. Like, he just knew how to maneuver and how to get around, how to set you up with angles, how to do things like that, and was just able to play the game, like what we were talking about earlier. Understanding the little sometimes knowing where to be on the court at a certain time during the game is the biggest thing in anything, in that can be the game-changing play, the game-changing moment, a season-changing moment. And I think he just had that because of how much he understood the game. I think I met him once.
Got you.
Yeah.
Got you. Salute to Howie Hudson. Need to get you on the show soon. I got his number. I just got to make sure I get back to him.
Get him.
Yeah, for sure.
Hot, yeah.
All right. So now let's move down to the DMV area, down to Maryland, because right. you had another transition, right? And another high school. So much experience, Coach. You have so much experience. The resume is so long. How did you, first of all, what made you go down there, and how did you get connected with Duval High School?
I was teaching up here, and then jobs up here started to, dry up in New York. You're talking circa 2010, and starting to get hard to get jobs. I believe there was a hiring freeze, and I was contacted by Duval High School to be a special education teacher down there. So I go down there, and I didn't start coaching at Duval right away. I taught there, but I started coaching. Again, my friend Billy Lanier, he was coaching at a school called Charles Flowers. And he was like, why don't you come on in and help me out? Because we had known each other from camp. And I coached with him for a year. And then another year, we were at another school called Friendly High School. And then we went to Oxon Hill High School. And after Oxon Hill, Billy wanted to, just take a break. So the Ulysses Grant, who's Ulysses Lee Grant, I'm thinking history.
Yes.
Who was coaching at Duval, was like, Frage, come on in, man. With all your experience and everything, we could use you. Went in there, took a team that was, kind of mediocre before I got there. They were starting to come up. And then, you know, we took them to the championship. And second away, man, we lost the buzzer beat in the state finals that had me not being able to watch basketball for like 6 months, man.
Wow.
Every time I heard that horn go off, it just made me sick to my stomach.
How would you compare the competition down in the DMV compared to New York City?
The grind up here is probably like nothing else anywhere, man. But, you know, they've got some players down there. They've got some guys down there that are rounded players. You know, up here sometimes you get a player that can really handle the ball but can't really shoot. Or you can get a kid up here that can really shoot that can't, you know, and then you get that mixture. You get those Kenny Andersons and you know, Bug Davenders and stuff like that. Down there, you might get a kid, obviously Kevin Durant's from down there, who's got the combination of it all. And then again, like, you know, we're talking about Coney Island and the water, something down there with them, you know, being able to grow to the heights that they grow and have the bodies that they have, you know, and then they're athletic. And then those guys go after it down there. They, you know, may not be like up here, but they do go after it, which is why I believe there was a period of time, I think Shandu and I were talking about this, from about 2008 to about 2015, just about every NCAA champion had somebody from the DMV on their team.
Yes, for sure. And the good thing about the competition down there that the Catholic school and public schools play each other.
Right.
Which they don't do a lot of here until we get to, you know, Glen Falls.
You do that regularly. Like, you know, we played Cardinal Spellman, and Cardinal Spellman will play, you know, Laurel High School, or, you know, DeMatha will play, you know, Dunbar, and it's crazy. And they just do it like that. It's just like call up the coach and schedule, as opposed to up here, you got the bodies that'll do it for you. So
too much politics, too much politics. We need to get away from that and have our city kids compete against each other, both for the Catholic school and public school league. Because when I had Gene Smith up here, Georgetown legendary great, and we was honoring Pearl, right? And he played in New York. Just like we're gonna have my guy Derek Canada on the show, for sure, because another guy from Jersey, but did a lot of work here in New York City. So and I gotta reach out to my guy Kendrick for Connecticut as well. We're gonna get him on the show. I think he's gonna be very, very happy about that. So yeah, that was awesome that you was able to make it down there, because usually guys who coach in New York City don't really go to other places to coach. They usually stay in New York City, and that's it. You got to see the whole gambit, you know, and definitely all levels in New York City, Catholic school, public school, and then go out to Maryland and have success. You know, what made you return home after all the success you had out there?
Well, an injury. Obviously, I was in a wheelchair. I was in a manual chair and blew out my shoulder. So I had to have surgery, and to get around the doctor's appointments and stuff, usually have to drive. And with, you know, since my arms are like my legs, I couldn't drive. So I needed help because I was living alone. So I came back up here where my support system is. My family's up here. It's easier to get around, you know, and I was, you know, I'm looking to get back into the coaching, you know, genre up here. Speaking to my guy, Wendell Saunders, you know, when we were at Brevoort, you know, talk about maybe getting back into it. But, you know, in the meantime, what I'm doing is really satisfying, really fulfilling for me right now.
Man, that's awesome. What are some of the kind of exercises you do to keep yourself going? Because listen, for one respect I do have, I respect everyone, but the guys who play basketball in a wheelchair, for all you ball players that think you nice and think you got what it takes, I would like to see one of you guys or a few of you guys play against some of the guys who are in the wheelchair and see how that work out for you. Because, man, you have to be durable. Not saying you're playing the sport, but I know there's a process of exercise and things you have to do to keep that straight so you don't give yourself an injury. But I was just so amazed by the guys who play full court basketball, playing leagues in the wheelchair. So how do you keep yourself going and prevent injuries?
Well, I do some weight training. I don't go heavy because my shoulders are bad, but I do some of that. I'm out there, just about every day of the week. I'm out there with some kids working out. So I'm still doing, 2-ball dribbling drills and shooting drills, because I'm, as much as I can show, I am showing the guys exactly what to do. So those are the things that I'm doing to keep myself in some kind of shape. And I tell the kids all the time, if I had some lateral movement, y'all wouldn't be able to do anything with me.
Tell her, Chris. That's right. Now let's tap into your baby, right? The Chris Frazier Sports.
Yes.
And who are the kids that you kind of service? First of all, let's go back. What made you create Chris Frazier Sports?
Well, excuse me. My brother, Alton Frazier, and Adam Groves and I would, this has been something obviously from the beginning when I started working with those 3 young men, of training them, of wanting to produce just great basketball players. And with the abundance of talent that we have out here in Far Rockaway, developing them so, to keep kids out of trouble, to give kids, abilities, discipline, leadership, all of those qualities that you want to have, people have, and not just the guys, but for the girls as well. And this has been something that I've been trying to do since 1985, that I've been trying to get something like this developed. But it wasn't until about 4 or 5 months ago that the 3 of us sat down and started to map it out, because of contacts that we were able to make, to be able to say, look, we've got these contacts now that you didn't have in 86. Let's utilize them and get this thing, rolling so that we can get the steam going and get these kids, because with everything going on in the city, not just the city, but around all over the place, mental health issues and all of these things, with all of that going on, we need something to get these kids' attention and hold them and get them separated from all of that. In June, we had a basketball tournament, and the tournament was to promote mental health. We're going to try and do that annually, where we have something like that, where just so that the kids know. I remember when I played and something was on my mind and something was bothering me, I could take a basketball court, go out to the court and shoot and work out and get all those emotions out and get all those thoughts out, and then be able to be like, all right, I'm good. That's what I want to provide for the youth right now out here in Far Rockaway. And then we'll see, how that goes, and we'll spread it all over the place.
And not only that, you worked as a special ed teacher, so you already know what a lot of kids go through as far as mental health. So that's awesome. What are the age range of the kids that you service?
Well, right now we're starting with kids as young as 5, and we're going up to about 17. We don't have any 5-year-olds currently, but I've got 13, 17, 16, and I got about 4 or 5 16-year-olds right now. So we got a group of kids right now, a couple of kids, I'm going to see one of them play this Saturday, Christ the King. And we're starting to build up. We've only been doing this for 4 months. We're still trying to get the infrastructure together. But, we got it going. We got it going, and we're getting our stable together. So I'm telling New York right now, look out.
All right. Who the Christ the King play this weekend?
It's a JV scrimmage. They're playing McClancy.
Okay. Yeah, McClancy's. I saw the varsity team play. They're very tough.
Yeah.
They're very tough. What do you think about the Brandon Williams kid at Christ the King?
I like him. There's a kid that I like a whole lot better, Boogie Flan. Oh,
he's up and
yeah.
up and stepping that.
Yeah, stepping that.
Yeah,
I really like him. I saw him play in the playoffs last year, and I thought he was special. But the kid Jackson from Cardinal Hayes, he's a whole other.
Is he the best player right now in
Right
New
now,
York?
right now,
Ian Jackson.
yeah, right now. He left me speechless, and I'm not speechless when it comes to basketball. I'm not speechless, but he left me.
Oh, I definitely gotta get up to Cardinal Hayes and check him out this year. That's I get a chance to see a lot of the public schools play. I really want to just get out there and see a lot of the Catholic school ball players.
I need to get with you then, because I need to get out and see some more public school. Like some of the kids you had at Brevard, man. The kid Chewy, I think his name is.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, he impressed me.
Yeah. Now listen, can we get a team for Far Rock to participate in the Brevard Coliseum this year?
We're gonna work on it.
Okay.
We'll link up and I'll let you know. We'll work on it definitely.
Appreciate that. Appreciate that. Yeah. So you're in the 4th year, right? You say you're in a 4th month of the Chris Sports Foundation, right?
Right.
4th month, and cool. So, man, I can't wait till that get up and running the way you want it to. I know it's going to be very special for the kids.
Yeah, we're definitely going to get it together, and we're not just going to focus on just basketball. We're going to try and get a whole lot of other sports, because not everybody plays basketball. You know, people play baseball. Girls don't. You know, girls may want to play softball, tennis. You know, we're going to see what we can get available out here. We got some facilities. We don't have a lot, but we're going to work on everything that we can and get these kids involved and get them, doing things. I don't have to tell you that feeling of accomplishment when you do something and you do it well, man, that carries you so far. It's a wave. And once you get on that wave and you start flowing with it, and it keeps carrying you and it opens doors for you. One of the things I like to tell kids all the time is you can just take basketball as far as school, because if it can get you into a college and you can play on the team, your teammate may know somebody or I remember a story about a young man I coached years ago. And he told me that his teammate ended up working at a Fortune 500 company. Got him in, and now this guy, was a regional manager for this Fortune 500 company on the West Coast. He was like, it was all because, one day you were teaching me how to shoot, and you told me that, basketball can take me wherever I want to go. So, and that feeling for me is really what I love to do, is to, hear kids when they come back to me and tell me their successes. I had the kid call me that I'm going to see this weekend. He was like, Coach, I made my team. And I was like, man, I was so excited, like for him. Right. I sound more excited than he did. But that's what I do this for. My name is on there, but I do it for the kids.
You're of service to the people.
Thank you.
That's dope. So, Coach, I just want to touch on the Kyrie Irving situation real quick. Not get too deep in political, but what was your overall thoughts about how the way the NBA handled that situation, and the sponsors and all these other people who kind of came down on?
I was really shocked that Nike pulled out. That's the last I've heard of it. I don't know what any other sponsors have done. Anybody else pull out from him or?
Well, Nike, but man, if you look on TikTok and other places, people are having bonfires with those sneakers.
Yeah.
There's one female, she had sneakers she didn't even wear no more. She didn't even wear, she even put them on into the dumpster. It was by the hundreds. And I seen other people doing it. So, look, I think when you're coming from when you want to come from a good space, right? It wasn't a space he was coming from a bad space. He wasn't coming to demean anyone or put anyone down or say he was better than anyone else. People feel that when you're genuine.
Yeah.
He got on his live the other day and he was just, telling people, instead of asking me for an autograph, talk to me. Have a conversation. what other stars do you know that do that? And then you get guys like LeBron who come out, jump out the window against them. Shaq who jumps out the window on them. You know, all these other guys come out and jump out the window. And I don't think they even took the chance or took the information down to even watch the film to see. They just say what they said, and I just think that's kind of crazy.
I mean, I know the NBA is a brotherhood, but going back to something you just said, a lot of times, especially depending on where you are and whether you have a microphone or not, people come at you without having a conversation with you first. Let me talk to the brother first. Let me find out where, like you were saying, where he's coming from. Is he got a malicious angle to it? Is he trying to be sincere? Is he giving you the first thing in his mind? Because sometimes, it's happened to me plenty of times where the first thought that came into my mind just came out of my mouth. And then as it came out of my mouth or after, I'm going, oh, I should have kept my mouth shut. We don't know. So if you don't know, I don't know if you should be throwing rocks. Find out, talk to the brother first, have that conversation, share whatever it is with him before you put it out to the masses and have everybody else jumping on him. And then all of a sudden, everybody's looking at him like, what happened to Kyrie? Well, all y'all banded against him. He's got to defend himself somehow. I think it was an unfortunate situation, but who hasn't been in that position before?
Right. It's crazy. Thanks for your opinion on that, Coach.
Yeah, no problem.
If you could change one thing about your basketball journey, what would it be?
I've never been asked that question and never thought about it. Because I've always thought if I didn't have the accident, I probably wouldn't have met a lot of the kids that I've met and helped a lot of the kids that I've helped. If I could change anything, it would be to not have the accident, but still meet all the kids and help all the kids that I did. And this way, maybe be able to physically. But see, I can't say that either because
this probably wouldn't be as sharp.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? Like you got to give something to get
Right.
something. It's a funny, yeah.
I wouldn't change anything. I probably wouldn't change anything. Like I said, it turned out just the way it was supposed to.
That's what I always say, brother. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is part of your life story.
It makes me who I am. All the good, all the bad, whatever those are. I don't think there is a good and bad, but every aspect that of what happened to me, that has happened to me, has put me in the position where I'm talking to you right now, live stream. I don't know how many people, telling my story to inspire, to help, to put something out there into the universe. It's only going to come back to not just me, but to everybody else in a positive manner.
Well, what we try to do on here is give people the platform because I say this is the people's platform. I know I'm the CEO, but this is the people's platform. This is for a place where, guys like yourself could come on and feel safe to tell their story. I tell this situation where I was watching Drink Champs, one of my best podcasts, and they had Lamar Odom on the show, and I just felt like they never talked about basketball, right? They never put him in a situation where he could talk about what made him into the superstar he became today that we all know, right? And then the issues can kind of come after that, whatever happens, however he wants to address it. But it was at that point when I said to myself, New York City needs a platform. And we talking about Long Island as well, and upstate, Westchester, and those people up in Rochester and Albany, all over New York State, have a platform to come on and tell their story and feel safe doing it.
Right. Yeah, because people, it's a way for them to express themselves, as you said before. and through that expression, share. Because, when I watch other interviews that you've done, I get something from it and it adds to me. And that's all you can hope for. And going back to LO, boy, was he some kind of player, wasn't he?
Ooh.
He was,
6'10", can handle, can shoot, can pass
Yeah.
that rock,
yeah,
can rebound.
he was some kind of player. I really liked watching him play.
Yeah, definitely special, man. Definitely one of the special ones. All right, Coach. Now we're going to get into the top five. Coach, top 5 players that come out of Far Rockaway.
Top 5 players.
Yes.
Do they have to be in order or just can
No. And any which order you want to name them.
All right. Got to give Oliver Taylor his props.
Yes.
Mel Utley. Got to give props. What was Tarpley's first name? There's a young man named Tarpley, played for the Dallas Mavericks. Roy Tarpley, I believe.
Roy Tarpley's from Far Rockaway?
Tarpley came from Far Rockaway.
You serious? I never knew that.
Yeah. Brian Winters.
Yes.
Came from Far Rockaway. And number 5. Oh, wasn't Nancy Lieberman? I believe
I think so. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. I'll tell you right now. Quicker to dial. Far Rockaway, that's right. The one and only. You hit it right in the nose. That's right. Hey, that's an awesome 5. That's an awesome 5.
Yeah.
Top 5 players you coached against.
Ooh.
See, I never want to ask the coach his top 5 players that he coached. I think that'd be unfair, right? So I always give him that option, right? Top 5 players you coached against.
I'll give you 2 of them with a couple of stories involved with, if you don't mind.
Yeah, the floor is yours, yeah.
So I'm at Loughlin, and Coach Leckie and I are sitting on the bench, and we're playing Cardinal Hayes at Cardinal Hayes. And Jamal Mashburn is playing. And at the time, I had no idea who Jamal Mashburn was. Never saw him, didn't know what he looked like, anything. So here's, Cardinal Hayes comes out, and they've got these older, warm-ups and stuff. And Jamal's warm-up, just comes up to about here. It doesn't even, reach the full length of his arm. And it's tight. So he stands out at the 3-point line. He's trying to shoot a 3. And, because the warm-up is so tight, it comes up short, and it's an air ball. So I look over to Leckie, and I go, the big dude needs to be under the basket. He doesn't need to be coming out here. So Leckie doesn't say a word. He just looks at me, doesn't say a word. We had a kid on our team named Rob Nurse. Rob Nurse was probably one of the best defenders in the city at the time. So after the jump, Rob is guarding this guy. So they give him the ball, right side at the top of the key. He gives Rob an inside out, and he goes in for a layup. And we had Andre Riddick at the time who went to Kentucky, who was 6'9", and he lays it over Andre. So I'm looking going, ooh, is that the same? So I'm looking at the other bench like, is that the same kid that I saw shoot the air ball? So we come down. We had a kid named Sean Taylor. Sean takes a shot, misses. He grabs the rebound, a couple of dribbles down, pulls up, drains the 3. So I'm like, ooh. We come down, take a layup. I think Andre dunked it, inbounded. He comes back, lays it up, and I look over at Leckie. I goes, that's Jamal Mashburn, isn't it?
Wow.
Yeah. So Jamal is number 1.
Definitely.
Terrence Wrenching is number 2. We played them in the finals, I believe in 91. I believe it was 91. And we were winning in the fourth quarter of that game with about 4 minutes, 16 seconds left. And they were inbounding the ball, and Terrence was going to get it, and it gets past him and goes out of bounds. So after it goes out of bounds, he does a movement like he's putting something on his back. From that point on, he took over the game. And we ended up losing the game. And I'm sitting there going, like, what in the world happened? So after the game, I go to him, I congratulate him. I'm like, yo, what was that move? He said, Coach, I had to put my team on my back and just take over.
1991 Mr. Basketball, New York State.
Man, I was like, yo, he was something else.
And leading scorer in Texas history.
Yes.
So you already know he's a bucket getter.
So those two would be my top two right there.
Mm-hmm.
Who else? When we played in the finals upstate New York, we played against John Wallace.
Another beast.
John Wallace is a beast. Who else did we play against that I would say was one of the toughest? Oh, when I was at Queens College, we played against a kid that went to Adelphi, Perry Herbert.
Mm.
Perry Herbert, in 2 games against us, went 25 for 25. And we were throwing every defense you can think of at him. 25 for 25 in 2 games against us.
Wow.
Yeah.
What school did he play for?
He went to Adelphi College. This was when I was at Queens.
Right. Wow.
And then one year when I was at Far Rockaway, we played.
Oh, wow. I see him.
Yeah.
He's Hall of Fame. I got to make sure I show him some love.
Yeah. And then when I was at Far Rockaway High School, we played against Charlie Villanueva.
Mm.
So that would be my top 5.
Wow. All right, Coach. All right. Okay. All right. Since you want to say that and you got that down pat, top 5 New York players all time.
All time? Cat got to be first. Kareem got to be first. Nate Archibald got to be up there. You got to give it to the late great Pearl Washington.
Salute the OG. Yep.
You got to give it to him. I tell you, yeah, I'll tell you, Walter Berry was one of my favorites.
The truth, he is definitely on my bucket list for sure.
He's one of my favorites. And then, we were boys, but Kenny Anderson.
Chibs mixed a lot of people's lists. Salute to my guy, Kenny Anderson. Always on the check-in.
We were friends, we're friends. And when I first saw him, I just looked at him as, like, wow, this amazing basketball player. Then we became friends. But then, when you go back, because, when you're friends, you're sitting there going, oh, it's just Kenny. It's just Kenny doing, it's just Chibs doing. But then when you go back and you sit there and go, man, Chibs, it's nice.
He was amazing. Yes.
Yeah, that
one of our best, one of our treasures. Definitely an iconic ball player.
That would be my 5. I've got others though, but that would be my 5.
Yeah, that's the funny thing about top 5. People always want to name more because we got so much to offer in New York City. So absolutely. Definitely. Hey, Coach, I appreciate you coming on. Definitely want to give you your flowers tonight and let you know you definitely one of the top coaches in New York City history for all that you've done, all the players that you developed and still develop to this day. So I want to say thank you again. And, let's stay in contact. You got my number. I'll definitely be seeing you, at one of these high school games, man. We're going to definitely bump at each other even before we, you get to come back to the Breville Coliseum. So thank you. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me again. New York, stand up.
That's right. Appreciate you, brother.
53rd.
Yes. So, all right. Before you leave, let them know, is there a website or anything they can get in contact with you for the Chris Frazier Sports?
All right. Right now, Chris Frazier Sports is on Instagram and Facebook. Okay. I've got an email address, chrisfraziersports@gmail.com. Phone number 646-417-0413.
Peace, brother. Wow. Listen, you got to give it up to my guy Frazier. You know, he's been putting in so much work over the years, from the CYO level to the high school level, in between coaching tournaments, on a college level, back to the high school level, and to create his own sports program. That's what we call New York City at its finest. With all that went on with him and this unfortunate car accident, he didn't let that stop him. That should be a lesson to you kids out there and some of you coaches and adults who're trying to figure it out and you want to quit. Let us all use Coach Chris Frazier as an example. An example to never give up and persevere and to be great, baby. Because that's what he do. He's out there being great. I'd like to thank everybody for coming on the show. I'd like to thank our guest, Coach Chris Frazier. I'd like to thank everybody who came through. What up, CK? Truth Seeker, what's happening? Thank you for coming through. And all those people who stopped by. I am your host, Glenn Pooh Harding. And you've been watching Basketball Heads Live, the podcast, on NYC Basketball Network. Let's spread the word. Tell everybody about the show and let them subscribe. All right? Tell everybody, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification button so you can get all the new shows, baby, and what we're doing. All right? See you soon. Peace. And oh, yeah, we are the official home for New York City basketball. Peace.